So the Vivo X60 family has arrived in India with the middle child, the X60 Pro, packing in some serious tech in an incredibly sleek form factor. There's a 120Hz high refresh rate display, a powerful Snapdragon processor that offers 5G, there's 12GB of RAM, 256GB of storage, and of course that Zeiss powered camera system that comes with that micro gimbal. Now all of that sounds very impressive, but is this still the right phone for you? Hey guys, what's up? I'm Sahil from EditorG, and today I'm going to be taking a deep dive into the Vivo X60 Pro. But before all of that, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Just like the previous generation X50 series, the Vivo X60 Pro adopts a sleek and classical aesthetic. The phone comes in this black color which looks more grey, but I like it nonetheless, and the rear glass panel gets a soft matte sheen that adds to the phone's premium look. The AG matte process is used for the back cover, which means light does not form refraction on the body. It's also very lightweight, more than I'd like, but it's very slim, which allows me to type out emails and messages using one hand. The aluminium frame also feels top-notch with the power key and volume rocker placed on the phone's right side. There's a standard USB-C port at the bottom along with the speaker and SIM slot. Vivo has yet again skipped the headphone jack, but the company still retains its signature choker design, where the top part of the phone has been completely flattened off to offer a more aesthetically pleasing look. The X60 Pro has a larger than average rectangular protrusion on the back that's home to a triple camera setup and the phone's headline gimbal feature, which we first saw in its predecessor, the Vivo X50 Pro. It lets you capture up to 4K smooth fast action video with the click of a button, and Vivo claims that its second generation gimbal system now reduces camera shakes to a greater extent. No doubt the technology is impressive and generally does a better job than the competition when it comes to eliminating jerkiness from footage, but I still feel it can't replace the magic of a full-size gimbal. Anyway, let's now turn our attention to the star attraction, photography. And look, with the X60 Pro, Vivo is no longer targeting photography enthusiasts, but also professional photographers. And that's why the company has partnered with Zeiss optics to bring over better imaging capabilities and pixel shift technology that apparently produces more color-accurate pictures. To quickly go over the camera specifications, the primary shooter is a 48-megapixel sensor, which gets stabilized by that inbuilt gimbal system. There's a secondary 13-megapixel ultra-wide sensor, and finally a 13-megapixel portrait lens with 2x optical zoom. Sadly, for some strange reason, Vivo has ditched the telephoto lens found in the X50 Pro. I mean, it's not a deal breaker, but it would have offered more range and variety in terms of photographic possibilities. In general, the main camera captured crisp and vibrant photos with accurate colors. It performs well in all types of lighting conditions, and images are pretty good in detail, but the HDR algorithm is somewhat lacking, as in some pictures you lose detail in the shadows. However, in sunlight, the detail is preserved well, and at night we see very little blurriness from handshakes thanks to that gimbal setup. Even in extremely poor light conditions, the results were jaw-dropping, especially with the dedicated night mode turned on. Furthermore, the night mode offers 2x zoom, which delivers really good versatility. There's also extreme night vision mode, ultra-wide night mode, astro mode, and super moon mode, all of which help you get a good shot in low light situations. When you use the portrait mode on the Vivo X60 Pro, the phone automatically switches to the 13-megapixel depth sensor that gets a native aperture of f2.46. It clicked some sharp portraits and added a good amount of bokeh in the background. And like I said before, the portrait mode lets you zoom in up to 2x without loss in quality. The ultra-wide sensor is a strong performer, but some distortion is noticeable on the sides, and in certain lighting conditions, it didn't match the main camera's color profile, with photos looking more saturated and punched up. As for the 32-megapixel front camera, it takes good enough selfies and portraits. My only issue is with the camera's beauty mode. There's just too much skin smoothing happening, and even after disabling it, images still don't look 100% natural. The X60 Pro sports a super punchy 6.56-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED display with a 2376 by 1080 pixels resolution. It flaunts super slim bezels all around and slight curves around the left and right edges. Like the Vivo X50 Pro, it gets a hole punch setup, but this time it's centrally aligned to give the screen a more asymmetrical look. The refresh rate has been bumped up to 120Hz from 90Hz on last year's model, which means the display is now faster and more fluid than before. You can alternate between 60Hz and 120Hz or choose the adaptive mode depending on what you're doing in order to conserve power. The X60 Pro also gets a 240Hz touch sampling rate, so not only will the screen give you the maximum frames when playing games, but also the quickest responses and reaction times. Oh, and talking about quick responses, the in-display fingerprint sensor is a regular Speedy Gonzales and never once failed to register my input. Meanwhile, HDR10 Plus technology ensures that content on the screen always looks great. However, if there's one thing that detracts slightly from the cinematic experience of the X60 Pro, it's sound. While I don't think the audio from the downward firing speaker sounded bad, it certainly doesn't reach its fullest potential. Stereo speakers would have been a welcome addition and are also expected at this price point. In the performance department, the X60 Pro gets powered by the new 7nm Snapdragon 870 processor, a high-end chip option for phone makers to equip their handsets with 5G, and it also comes paired with an Adreno 650 GPU. According to benchmark scores, the Snapdragon 870 isn't as powerful as Qualcomm's most premium CPU, the Snapdragon 888, which the Vivo X60 Pro Plus gets, but the 870 is still slightly efficient than last year's flagship 865 and punches well above its weight when it comes to gaming. I didn't notice any lags or stuttering while playing Call of Duty Mobile, and the graphics were crisp even at the highest setting. Meanwhile, there's 256GB of UFS 3.1 storage and 12GB of LPDDR4X RAM on tap, which naturally plays a big role in multitasking. But that's not even the best part. With the Vivo X60 series, you now get something called virtual RAM technology. It basically takes 3GB of internal storage of the device to be used as RAM to increase the overall RAM capacity, and hence offer faster app load times. So theoretically, you have 15GB of RAM in total on this phone. The X60 Pro gets a respectable 4200 mAh battery with 33-watt fast charging. I was pretty happy with the battery life on the phone and got well over a day's worth of usage with the brightness setting set to around 50%. Also, I was able to get around 7 hours of screen on time consistently. With the supplied fast charger, it goes from 0 to 32% in 15 minutes and 100% in exactly an hour. Not bad at all. Now, I'm sure I don't need to tell you this, but I'm going to anyway because I'm nice like that. But two of the most important parts of any smartphone is the software and user interface. And on those counts, the Vivo X60 Pro delivers. It's running the latest Android 11 with all of its new features and design elements, but with Vivo's FunTouch OS 11.1 on top. It's far better than previous iterations of the UI, but you're still greeted with a bunch of bloatware and some unnecessary functionality. But it doesn't take away from the mostly smooth Android experience. So look, overall, I really liked using the Vivo X60 Pro. And sure, it doesn't get all the bells and whistles expected at this price point, like stereo speakers or an IP68 rating, or even wireless charging. But at the end of the day, this phone does offer you an impeccable design, a powerful Snapdragon processor, and a camera system that can easily compete with all the heavy hitters out there. Whether you buy this phone for its camera-centric features or excellent functionality, it really is a win-win situation. And it makes me think, if the Vivo X60 Pro is this good, how good is the Vivo X60 Pro Plus going to be? Because that comes with a Snapdragon 888 processor and even better cameras. And of course, I will try my best to bring you guys a review for that smartphone. But in the meantime, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and also that like button. I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Thank you so much for watching.